Hey everyone, welcome back. It is Icon. Thank you so much for checking out another episode of Esports Analysis. In today's video, we are going to go back through and we're going to analyze the very first match. So this was the Hardpoint on Rammaza between the Dallas Empire and the Chicago Huntsmen. I wanted to break this one down because I felt like this was a map that could have went either way. There were just a few things that ended up going one way instead of the other, which ended up being the instance that really decided the map, and that'll make more sense as we get back into this. But as of right now, again, we are on P1 and we are getting ready to set up for P2. There's 30 seconds left in the current hardpoint, and if you're watching the spawns in the minimap in the bottom left-hand corner, the great things about watching VODs like this is that we can actually see where everybody's at. We have the minimap. We can go through, we can see where people are at, and it just makes our lives a lot easier in terms of trying to understand what's happening on the map. So, again, right now, we are in P1, and one thing that I'll say about this is that from the start of this, Chicago did a fantastic job because they got the bad spawn, right? Let me go ahead. Let me pause this for a second so I can explain exactly what's going on here. But when this map starts up, Chicago got this spawn here, which is the bad spawn. So Dallas was spawned here. They spawned closer to not only P1, but also to P2 on the bottom side of the map. And there are some things that can happen at the beginning of the match here if you are Chicago. If you try to sell out because you want to flip spawns, right? You want to have this spawn. So if you send people through mid, or if you send people on flank over here through P2, and you try to hit construction through the back, and you're not successful, then one thing that can happen is that you can give up a lot of time inside of P1. And if you look at the score at the top, it's like a 3-point game. So that wasn't the case. So they were able to both keep this score close, and they were able to flip spawns for P2. So if you're the team that's spawning out, you don't have the favorable spawn at the beginning here, then that's a really good start. Now, as it has rotated to P2, you do have to slay out, right? It's not all about getting the spawns if you're not able to slay out. So there's just going to be a constant battle. You can see that all of the green arrows are coming from the top side of the map. All of the white arrows are coming from the bottom side of the map. And right now, there are 4 white arrows. There are 5 white arrows inside of P2. So Dallas is doing a really nice job of saying, you know what, we're not going to go ahead. Oh, that was a nasty little 2-piece, 3-piece there from Formal. I know he didn't get all of the kills, but he did a lot inside the hard point right there. Look at the KD in the top left-hand corner. Formal's already 9-3. It feels like this map has just started. But getting back into what we were saying about Dallas, Dallas has said, you know what, we're just going to sell out. We're not going to worry about flanking. We're not going to worry about hitting mid. We're just going to hit P2 as hard as we possibly could. And they did a really nice job of breaking that. That's not something you see very often. Most of the time, whenever a team has spawned for P2 and they're set up inside the hill, they end up holding that down, getting at least 40 or 50 seconds, and they have a really big lead as it transfers over to P3. So now that we're into P3, you kind of start to see that again a little bit right there. But this isn't going to hurt Chicago too much, right? If they can stack the numbers here on P3, since they got pushed out of P2, that means that they would spawn out over towards P3. This is one of those maps that ping-pongs back and forth. So now that they have the spawns inside of P3, if they're just able to put those together, and they just got broke again. So had they been able to hold P3, get all of that time, then they would have been back in the ballgame. They got pushed out. The last 25 seconds are now going to Dallas, and now this is 2 hills in a row that Chicago had the initial spawns. They got broken. They got spawned out. Happened with P2, happened with P3. Now as we're rotating over to P4, again on the opposite side of the map, we'll see if they do a little bit of a better job here. It doesn't appear to be that way. Crim6 with a nice 2-piece. Huke also got one. And you can see all of those white arrows kind of by dirt door coming up. You just saw Crim6 there on those stairs. And they're doing a really nice job of, this is now 3 hills in a row that they haven't had spawns. They haven't had map position, but their slaying power has been all of the difference. You can see the kill feed in the left-hand side of your screen. Crim6, Shotzi, Huke, more from Crim6 and Huke. I mean, they're really starting to just stack up the kills here. And if you're Chicago, this is not looking good for you, right? Not necessarily the fact that you haven't been able to break a hard point or just in terms of map position overall. this isn't looking good because you had control of P2, you had control of P3, you had control of P4. Now as it's about to rotate to P5, they have map position and initial control of the hill for P5. And we'll see what happens here, but P2, 3, and 4, they were broken on every single one of them, and it looks like it's about to happen again. You can see, just look at the minimap in the bottom left-hand corner. If I pause this, you can see that as these green arrows come up so as they begin spawning in, this is Scump. I can't see the other number that's down there. It looks like Arcides, Scump, and Arcides as they come up off of spawn. They got pushed out of this back spawn. They're not getting this back spawn anymore. So they're spawning by ammo, and essentially what that's allowing Dallas to do is as they're coming from over here, you can see all these white arrows funneling through P3, also through arches right here. And now they're going to, it looks like, at least from what we're seeing right now, I know Envoy is still alive in the back over here, but it looks like, and just like that, although Gunless is still, so this is kind of like an evolving scenario, right? They've done a nice job of pushing it out in terms of Dallas. Dallas has done a really nice job of pushing it out, but they haven't quite overtaken yet. So in the last 4 hard points, this is the first one where we've seen Dallas push through and we've seen Chicago be able to counter a little bit. Again, a nice spree there. Gunless is on a 6 spree, and he is solely responsible for holding down P5. He got 2 kills in the back. He pushed through over towards Arches, went out ammo, got another 2-piece there. So those were really clutch plays there. And had it not been for those plays, imagine if those 30 seconds, those last 20 seconds or so would have went to Dallas. Had that been the case, we would have had a 160-70 ball game, and this one pretty much would have been in the books. Now, again, this is, as we're going through to the second set of rotations here, this is essentially exactly what we saw when we started the map. Because as it went from P5 to P1, we had Dallas spawning on the left-hand side of the map, Chicago spawning on the right side. And this is kind of what I feared for the very start of this map. You can see all the green arrows that are pushing P1 over and over again, and a couple things are happening. They're not getting time inside of P1, and they're nowhere near setting up for spawns for P2. So if you're kind of looking to point towards an area, that's a nice 2-piece from Envoy, but if you're looking to point towards an area where this game might get away from Chicago, it's kind of happening right now. They gave up the first 40 seconds inside of P1, so Dallas was able to build that lead out by 40 seconds, and now as it's rotating to P2, look at where the setups are, right? A couple people just went down, but you can see, you can see that Dallas has control of this part of the map. So if you're Chicago, it would be beneficial for you to push out over towards construction and try to get these back spawns, but that's not how it's happening right now. So we'll see what the score is like at the end of P2. At the start of P2, Dallas had right around 180. So we'll see how much they're able to get off of this. And these will be big kills right here. Essentially, who can win this team battle? And it looks like basically all of those. Arcees was able to get a kill. Scump is getting kills from ammo. And they weren't able to push out that spawn. So if you look at the bottom left, you can see all of those green arrows spawning by ammo, which means now as it's rotating back from P2, as they're trying to get in, they have to go through that one tiny little choke point, and it's just so hard to do. And that's what made it so impressive on the first set of rotations, that Dallas was actually able to do that. The fact that they spawned out on P2, spawned out on P3, spawned out on P4, and were still able to get the majority of the time there, that is extremely good work. And now as we look at the score, I mean, remember, it was 180, so Dallas was at 180 when P2 popped, and right now they've just got basically 55 seconds, all of that time inside of P2, and now this is pretty much a runaway, right? I do think that Chicago does a nice job of getting some time right here. I think that this becomes a little bit of a closer of a game than what we're seeing right now. But the story for this game by far has been that when Chicago had spawns for the first set of rotations, they got flipped. And when Dallas had spawns for P2 on the second set of rotations, they were able to hold it and get the majority of that time. So this is a nice little run from Chicago here, being able to hold P3. We'll see. This is one thing that I'm seeing right here. So, oh man, this is So this is a situation, right? If we're looking inside the hard point, we do have a couple people inside the hard point that are slaying out and still getting kills. We're on board with Envoy right now. It does look like he's going to die. There's 17 seconds left in the current hard point, right? So one thing that I'm noticing is that these two green arrows right here, this is formal and this is gunless. You can tell that they've started to rotate, right? They've begun. They spawned over here by ammo. They've started to rotate across over towards construction towards P4. And essentially what's happening is that they're relying on their teammates inside the hard point to be able to hold on to this, or at least to be able to contest so that they can transfer from P3 over to P4. But with only 17 seconds left, one thing that I'm looking at is that you have these white arrows inside the hill and you have multiple white arrows pushing on this current hard point. So for me, this looks a little bit bleak. Somebody's going to have to go off in order to extend this game. I have no idea what's going to happen. Will they extend this, or is this it? Let's see. They are in. Formal just got a 2-piece. Formal got a 3. Actually, Formal killed Envoy. Are they going to be able to hold on? They are. So they didn't actually end up getting that tick. That's crazy. So as this is going towards construction, you're going to see that a lot of these kills, they're going to try to get kills mid-map, and that's what you want to do, right? One thing that I love about this setup from Chicago, there's not too much that they did right here, but one thing that I do love is that they're trying to get kills up here towards mid-map, right? Because if you can get team kills in this area, that means that your hard point isn't threatened at all. And they're doing a really nice job of doing it right here. We'll see if Glacier is able to trade this out, and he is. So there's nobody inside of P1 up towards bridge that's probably going to be able to stop this. There was one there from Formal. Looks like he's being pushed again. Dirt door is open. A gunless is able to hold that off also. So if only for Chicago's sake this had been the first set of rotations, then things probably would have went much better for them throughout this game, but they only need one more second. So it's like one break. If Illy can get in, looks how many people are in hill. There's gunless. RC is with a clutch kill there also. And just there at the end there, they did end up overtaking it. But so if you were Chicago, you made it a little bit respectable. I don't think they go ahead and they show like the play of the match and the score and all of that. But overall, where this was won was on that first set of rotations. If you were Chicago, you had every opportunity. You had spawns in position for both P2, P3, and P4. You were set up and you were in position to get all of those points, and you just got broke over and over and over again. When it went to the second set of rotations, you were down by almost 100 on P2, second set of rotations. Dallas was able to get 50 points on P2, and after that, even if you split hills the rest of the way, they just have so much of a lead, 100-point lead, that there's not much you can do to come back from that. So if you're new around here and you enjoy these sort of breakdowns, make sure you hit that subscribe button down below. If you have any comments whatsoever, I love hearing your comments. I love the interaction, seeing what you guys have to say, so make sure you leave a comment. Please leave a like. It helps out the channel. Before you head on your way, thank you guys so much. I will catch you in tomorrow's upload.